Welcome everybody to the Canberra Football Show, episode 23. I'm here with Michael today. Today, finally, football's returned. We are going to review round one and lightly preview round two here, all of NPL 1, 2, and W as always. Michael, how are you going today?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you, Matt. It was good to see a whole bunch of football action in the nation's capital over the weekend. I know that you watched a few games and commentated over the weekend, so a very busy weekend for yourself. But it's good to see football back up and running and getting to have the opportunity to talk about the games. How are you going anyway?
Yeah, it was one hell of a weekend. I'm sure anyone that made the trip to Cooma knows how great
Yeah.
that was. I mean, it even lightly hailed a bit in the first, very light hail in the first half, and it rained as well. So I'm glad I brought my Kathmandu jacket, so it just
Oh,
absorbed the rain.
that's a winter essential right there.
Yeah,
Did you end up going with Russ?
yeah, no, I did. It was a good game, and like we'll discuss that very shortly. But yeah, shout out to the hospitality of Kilmer there at Cooma. There was no canteen, and he went down the street and got us some lunch. So good on him over there. So
Oh, very nice.
absolute legend over there. And he also I think he provided the truck as well that we sat on the back of the truck for the
Oh, okay.
commentary.
Yeah.
You know, like the ute, you got at the back of the ute.
Yeah.
We stood up there, very close to the game. Actually, it's pretty cool. I mean, it sounds ridiculous in hindsight, thinking, "Oh, we're calling it on the back of the truck," but when it's right next to the pitch, and we're a Nijong Oval as well, where it's just a massive oval. You would have played there, even I played there. At that specific oval, it's actually the elevation's cool and
It is.
really close to the pitch. So let's get started, shall we? Let's start with NPL 1, Michael. We've got West Canberra Wanderers 1, Gungahlin United 4. The goal scorers were Fields for West Canberra Wanderers in the 62nd minute. And then we had Anderson, 8th minute, Thornton own goal in the 18th minute, Green with a trademark header in the 80th minute, and Garang with a goal in the 90th minute. Michael, it was a good win for Gungahlin United, considering they bounced back from their FFA Cup exit to Tigers 3-0 just before Easter. What did you make of how this match transpired?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. It was a great win, I think, for Gungahlin United to start the season away from home. I think Marcel Munoz will be very pleased with that result. 4 goals in your first game of the season away from home is something that you can be very pleased about. I'm sure he won't be pleased at conceding, but nevertheless, it's just the start that they wanted on Gungahlin United. Especially considering how things ended for them last season and their loss that they experienced but before the start of the season as well. So it was a great win for them. It'll be interesting to sort of see how they go against Tigers next week, who will be raring to go after losing to Canberra, Croatia, which you'll talk about further. So we won't get into that too much, but it'll be an amazing matchup. I mean, despite the result for West Canberra Wanderers, they can look at periods in the game when they, for long stretches they had possession and created some good chances. They were very much in the game right up until that. Like you said, Matt, it was a trademark Jack Green header. I saw Russ share that goal on Facebook, saying that was typical Jack Green there, off the corner, losing his man and heading it home fantastically. So it was a fantastic goal. But I think West Canberra can take a lot of positives out of that right up until the 80th minute mark, when they were very much still in that game. And I think the Wanderers will relish that, and we'll probably take some inspiration, from other sort of results that have transpired over the weekend in the NPL 1 competition. So it's a great win for Gungahlin United. It's exactly the start that Marcel would have wanted. And for West Canberra, we didn't expect them to win this game, but like we mentioned, there are positive aspects that they can take out of that. as they look to build on for the rest of the season and to go back, to move forward, to next weekend. So there's aspects that they can take out of that game, but overall, Gungahlin United will be very pleased with that result.
Yeah, I think they will. And in terms of West Canberra Wanderers, I think we said it it wouldn't be last week, it would have been a couple of weeks now when we did that preview. But when that happened, I'm pretty sure we said this side needs time to gel. And we mentioned it last year, especially when they weren't scoring. We're just like, we'll talk about how Ulysses will take, the good moments, even if it was just a 20-minute block, and they'll try and build on it for the future. And last year, they obviously had a more experienced squad. They've got a much younger squad this year with a lot of 23s players from around the league coming to them. So I think we're going to see the best part of West Canberra Wanderers probably halfway through the season. They probably need a bit more time to gel. They've been the most effective team in terms of departures. So they'll take the 20-minute blocks that they did well in this game and they'll use it. In terms of Gungahlin United, they're going to be very happy with the scoreline. Like you said, I'm sure Marcel won't be happy with even conceding one goal. But in saying that, though, it's a positive win, and they needed to get a win on the board because they're going to be facing Tigers, like you mentioned before, next week. So we all know that Tigers had a pretty easy win over Gungahlin United in the FFA Cup. So Gungahlin needed some positive momentum, and they got that. Michael, what is our next matchup?
So we've got, well, Matt, you said that you were a spectator in this game, and the Monaro Panthers up against Canberra Olympic, the matchup that we talked about in the preview about Frank Casher taking over as Monaro Panthers coach up against Robbie Katnack and Canberra Olympic. The most surprising result of this NPL1 weekend, would you say, Matt?
Yeah, look, it was the most surprising result. Probably not in terms of the performance, because when you looked at the performance, Olympic were absolutely fantastic. I think what was key for Olympic was Robbie Katnack set up brilliantly. He started a little more defensive, sat back, waited to see what Monaro would do, let them soak in the early pressure, because we all knew Monaro from the off with the attackers they had, they would be hitting the gates early in terms of coming out and trying to score right away. So they absorbed it early and then let them sort of run out of a bit of energy. And pardon me, and Olympic probably have the younger squad as well. So they thought as the game wears on, they'll be able to attack, especially counterattack straight away. But the start of the second half, I'll tell you what, straight away, Olympic came out of the blocks with great intensity, pressed Monaro very, very high, and they scored in the first 5 minutes or something like that of the second half. And every single goal from Olympic was absolutely fantastic, Michael. I've got to tell you, I'm not sure if you saw Tyson Livermore's one, but yeah, Russ called it a cheeky or I think a lazy lob because it just looked like he didn't really put much effort into it. But you saw what he was trying to do. I commented on Tyson's thing saying what a great goal it was. And more importantly, you see that celebration, one of those flips. It was a great flip celebration afterwards. So he did So I think that's it's going to be hard to top in terms of celebration of the year. I think for Tyson Livermore.
Oh yeah, we're only one game in, and we've already got flips, in celebrations. So yeah, it would be very, very hard to top, and it's first week of the new season. So yeah, you love to see that sort of stuff though. And just before you go on, Matt, that obviously the scoreline in this one was 4-1 to Canberra Olympic, which was a fantastic result. Just before you delve in further to this game, it was Silk who scored for Monaro in the 30th minute, which gave them a 1-0 lead at the half. Things looked comfortable, but then Canberra Olympic, like you mentioned, they were fantastic in their approach, and 4 unanswered goals in the second half from Brown, Ihegi, Livermore, and James. So 2 goals in stoppage time there for Canberra Olympic to really kill the game off. But continue, Matt.
Yeah, no, and Monaro had a pretty controlled first half. To delve into Monaro a little bit, Silk, he scored the goal. I thought I've seen him quite a bit in preseason now. He's really coming into his own. I think he was probably one of the best players in the first half. I think with Monaro, I think Russ mentioned it in the preview, saying they're probably going to need a little time to gel. And that's probably a little bit evident considering the performance in this game. Even though they had a good first half performance, the second half performance, they were just completely outplayed for intensity, outplayed defensively. They were just, Katanak just had an answer for everything, especially in that second half. But going back to Monaro, they did create a bit in the first half. There was some really good moments of play there that Acacia can build upon. But at the end of the day, it is a new squad. And I think even Acacia mentioned it in, I think, the interview I did with him before he started the podcast again for the year, saying that it's going to take some time to gel and get the results that everyone expects at Monaro. But it's too early to count out Monaro. I wouldn't count out Monaro. I still think they're going to be there by the end of the season. It's a very long season. And with the amount of quality they have, they're eventually going to gel. But I think Olympic really, really made a statement here that the rumors were going around. A lot of people were saying that it looks like Olympic, are going to be one of the favorites for relegation. But I think they proved it. I think even when I chatted to Robbie, I think he relishes the fact that he's going to be an underdog this season. And I think they made a statement of intent that they really want to compete for the top four this year, and they're not planning on being in terms of battling for relegation. But it's a long season to come, so we'll see what happens. But Olympic have proved that they can compete with the top here with a very, very energetic and tactically nuanced performance.
Yeah, it was just to go off that. I think obviously we made a lot in the pre-match about how much Monaro had strengthened in the off season. With the addition of Frank and the players that he was able to bring in to the squad. I think it's important not to obviously read into it too much, losing your first game of the season, even though it was quite an emphatic loss. He's got time to get things right. And that'll obviously start next weekend, where they'll look to be in the winner's circle. But you have to credit Canberra Olympic, who, like you said, have been marked as underdogs. No one really gave them a chance. I tipped against them in the preview.
Talking about tips, when we get to the tips, I actually have a rank of the scorings and how we all went. So I'll save that for the first one.
I'm looking forward to this. And I'd suppose it's a fantastic performance from Canberra Olympic. Robbie will be, I'm sure he was absolutely ecstatic with the way that his side played. And, don't be surprised if they do this to, Gungahlin United or even Canberra Croatia for that matter. And I also just wanted to say it's good to see Ben Bassasilk on the score sheet. He and I went to college together. We've played in a few school teams for outdoor together. He's a fantastic player, great technical player. He's got a great touch. I know all about his quality. I'm sure he'll like me saying that, and I've set him up for a bicycle kick of his own. So he's a great player, and he can thank me for that assist, even though it was years ago, back in college. But he's a great player. Good to see him on the score sheet. A great win for Canberra Olympic, most definitely.
Yeah, before you move on, I'll quickly say you mentioned how Olympic are going to compete this season. I forgot to mention, I think and the way they approach this game shows that I think they're going to be most effective against the sides with a lot of firepower and the sides that everyone considers the favorites. So I think that's when they're going to compete the best, just based on the way he approached this game. Now that might change even next week, for all we know, but just the feeling I got is this is the way they're going to play against a lot of the big teams. Michael, what is our next matchup?
All right, Matt, we've got Tigers FC up against Canberra Croatia. You were at that game alongside Russ. It was a 3-0 win for Canberra Croatia away from home at Nijong. Goals for Kalfas in the 32nd minute, and second half goals for Kit and Kister. 3 goals, 3 points for the defending champions. A relatively straightforward performance from them. How did you see that encounter unfold?
It was an interesting encounter. Apparently it rained and a little bit of light hail as well during the under-23s game. So immediately We knew the weather was going to be an issue, and we all know that the pitch at Nijong isn't exactly the best. The grass wasn't as long as it looked sort of on TV. It was like it, and when I mean long, it's not like when you like, for example, I know it's six-a-side in Waniasa, for example, anyone who played in that six-side Waniasa comp, the grass was like this. We're not talking about that long, but in terms of like first grade standard long, it was pretty long. But apparently they only mowed it on Wednesday, so that's something. And naturally, the grass got a bit wetter, so it might have disrupted a bit of play, for example, from the Tigers. But the Tigers started, I thought, the better of the sides in the first 15, 20 minutes. But after Canberra Croatia scored, they got all the momentum and they just got into their zone. And we all know Canberra Croatia, the reigning champions, when they get into their zone, it's very, very hard to top them. And they were all fantastic goals as well. Keir's header when he went for it, no one was able to challenge him. And it seemed like times, those moments where they jump in the air, time stops, boom, into the bottom, into the back corner. And the first goal as well from Calfas, it sort of bopped over Jacob Cole, and that was sort of maybe a reflection of the way the pitch was in terms of how slippery. It was a bit slippery, but it was a fantastic strike. And Kist's strike as well from well outside the box was another fantastic one. So I'm sure Ryan and Anthony are going to be disappointed with the result. Maybe a little bit disappointed with the performance. But at the end of the day, it is only the first round. I'm sure they're going to use how they played and the way that the match played against Canberra Croatia, and they're going to use that, and they're going to think about it, and they're going to dwell on it and think about how they can combat that next time they play Canberra Croatia. I mean, despite the loss, I still think Tigers are going to be up there. They've got a very, very talented squad, and they sort of showed against Gungahlin that they can bring it together and beat some of the bigger sides. But the issue for them is against Canberra Croatia, their chemistry is second to none. They're a mostly unchanged squad compared to Tigers. So I'm sure that always plays into the first round of the season. But don't count out Tigers. I still think they're going to be competing for the top spot and definitely going to be in the final. They're definitely going to be competing for those final four at the very least at the end of the season. And I think we're going to see the best of Tigers not so soon. Very soon. In the next round, second, even if not round 3, we're going to see it very soon because they recruited early. So I think their gelling period is nearing its end, and we're going to see the best of Tigers very soon. But at the end of the day, anyone can have a bad day in the office against Canberra Croatia. That is that damn good. Michael, any thoughts? Any thoughts on this one before we move on?
I think you covered all the points there, Matt. Obviously, you were at the game and you saw how great Canberra Croatia played. I mean, it's not a surprising result to say the least, given how Canberra Croatia played last season, how they've prepared in the off season and now started the 2021 campaign. They looked like champions. They play like champions, and when they're in that mood, they're so hard to break down, especially when they go up a goal as well. It's very difficult to turn them upside down and get them out of rhythm. So obviously, I think it's obviously you don't want to read into the result too much. Obviously, Tigers FC will be disappointed with losing the first game of the season at home, but it's always important to remember that there's still a lot of games left to be played. But as time goes on, that excuse will simmer down. Obviously, with the inclusion of relegation in this league. So whilst you don't want to take too much out of the first game of the season, you're sort of dusting off the cobwebs, so to speak. You can't hang on to that excuse, by a thread for a while. It does go down, and you will have to start picking up points. So obviously, first game of the season for Tigers. It's important for them not to get too disheartened. Obviously, it would have been a statement if they could have defeated the defending premiers, but it's just not the way it turned out. And in this league, you got to bounce back right away. You don't have too much time to dwell on losses. So it'll be important for them just to make things right against Gungahlin United next week. So,
you brought up a good point actually when you said it's very hard to score. It's very hard to create chances against Canberra Croatia, especially after they score their first goal. That sort of reminded me. I forgot to say that in that first 15 minutes when I said Tigers played better, they did cause a few issues for Canberra Croatia. For example, any time they threw a ball into the box, there was sort of static motion and there was a bit of unorganization there from Canberra Croatia. So that was in the first 15 or so minutes. So, but once Canberra Croatia scored, it was until after the third goal, it was you didn't see too many chances from Tigers. They just weren't able to create that sort of momentum that they had in the first 10, 15 minutes. And that just shows how strong Canberra Croatia are. Okay, moving on to the final matchup of the round. In NPL 1, we have Tuggeranong United against Belconnen United. 1-0. Bailey scored in the 9th minute. And like we predicted, we knew it was going to be a tight and close game. It wasn't the draw I thought it would be, but it was a tight game nonetheless. Michael, what do you think about this one? They sort of had similar amounts of possession, and it was sort of as close as we thought it was going to be, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were right. We were certainly right to have those thoughts and feelings about this game. Given the two squads, Tuggeranong at home to start the season, we know how much of a tough side they are, especially at home as well. They're a very difficult side to break down, and I honestly thought that this game would have been separated by a goal, and that's what proved to happen. Even though it was very early in the game, and they did have time to try and nick an equaliser, it just didn't come to fruition. From all accounts, Belconnen sat back a little more than what you would expect with a side of their personalities and players. I guess we were expecting Tuggeranong to bounce on the counter quickly, so that they could, exercise the fact that Belconnen were sitting back a little more, but it meant that they weren't able to, take on that counter-attacking ability, because Belconnen did sit back and allow them to have the ball, which would have shaken things up from their approach. So, Tuggeranong obviously overall had more of the possession than they would have initially anticipated, especially against a side like Belconnen, who we're so used to having a very dominant possession-based style, especially in NPL 1, that we've seen over the years and their title-winning teams. They did have one really good chance that was cleared off the line, but besides that, Belco had the better of the opportunities throughout the 90 minutes. And to go off that, it'll be interesting to see how they go against Canberra, Croatia, which we'll dive into soon with the round 2 matches that are coming up. Matt, any thoughts on this match? Like I said, I think it was exactly the way that we thought it was going to go. It was going to be tied. It was probably going to be a goal that separated whoever was to win the game, but a very close and narrow win for Belconnen, but they'll take that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think in terms of Belconnen, Fabian Michelli is a coach that studies his opposition quite a lot, and he probably saw how Tuggeranong play against sort of the bigger side. So he might have wanted to, throw them off, give them a little more possession, that sort of thing. I know he is definitely someone who studies the tape and he studies his competition as much as he can, especially being a new coach to the NPL 1 specific competition, the seniors squad. So I think that's probably what he was going for there. And at the end of the day, they got the result they wanted. And I'm sure throughout the season, I'm intrigued to see how they go against Olympic. I'm intrigued to see who sort of takes the initiative and goes on the front foot first, because I think Olympic have found their rhythm against the sides that have a little more firepower than them. They've found what they can do. So I want to know, are Belconnen sort of going to cancel them out and sit back more than you'd expect, or are they going to be the ones that go on the front foot and control most of the possession? That's what I'm intrigued to see. But at the end of the day, Belconnen have some fantastic talent there. And then also, like we mentioned before, Mats has had a disallowed goal as well, which I talked to a few people, and some people thought it was onside, some people thought it wasn't. So it was one of those 50-50 calls that happened. So it could have been 2-0 in that regard. And you mentioned how there was a goal cleared off the line for Tuggeranong. So it was a very close game on all accounts, and I'm really intrigued to see Belconnen and Olympic. And regarding Canberra Croatia and Tuggeranong, Yeah, it was a very close matchup last year, but it was the final round, so I'm intrigued to see how that plays out. I really don't know how that one will go. That one's a little more of a tongue twister for me. So let's get into the predictions, shall we, Michael? And like I said, let's whip out the scoreboard from last couple of weeks.
Here we go.
So NPL, I've got all three here. NPL 2, Russ leads 2-1. Russ is 2. Predictions correct. We have 1 each. So not exactly the best in terms of NPL 1 for both of us. I think what separated him was he predicted Canberra Croatia would beat Tigers and we said it'd be a draw. NPLW, it was you, me, and Jeremy. You and I had 3 each and Jeremy had 2. I think where Jeremy had it there is the
United Academy win.
Yeah, he had a United Academy win, but he also said Western Canberra Wanderers would beat Olympic, I think. So that's why he was 1 below us. And there was another one of his predictions where he said it was going to be something different. I can't remember off the top of my head. And NPL 2, Russ and I had 4. We had a clean sweep, 4 for 4. And you had 3. I think you said White Eagles would beat ANU, and that one was a draw.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So a bit of John Zalinado said might as well make a comp out of that. So the former Narrabundah coach last year. So might as well have some fun with it while we're at it. So let's get our predictions.
So you're telling me that we only got 1 prediction right for the NPL 1?
Yeah, it was Gungahlin. That was it.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, well, that's how unpredictable it can be this year, I think. So what I'll do is
that's what we want. Okay.
What I'll do is I'll get Russ and I'll get Jeremy's predictions for NPLW and I'll get Russ's after this, and then we'll add it onto the tally for next week. All right, so let's get into it. Belconnen United, Canberra Olympic, Saturday, 17th of April, 3 p.m. Return for the senior men's side at McKellar Park. The women's return on the weekend. That one is going to be. They're very, very happy to be back at McKellar Park. And Michael, you know how much of a fantastic playing surface that is, and also in terms of just a facility in general. This is going to be a tough one. Mm-hmm. I hate to sit on the fence, but I think this one might be a draw as well. I'm sure Belconnen are going to go, oh, it was a draw, and look at what happened. Johnny Krithanakis, I'm sure their fitness coach will come up to me and say that. But I think this one's going to be a draw. I think I would have said Belconnen last week, but Canberra Olympic proved that they can play against the sides that are bigger than them and they can do well. But Belconnen have proved that they approach every side, every match at a time. So I think I'm going to go for a draw on this one. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I was thinking a draw when I just looked at this fixture, purely based on the fact how Olympic played against Monaro. I'm actually sort of swaying towards a Belconnen win at home at McKellar Park now, that I've thought about it a little bit more, to go off that 1-0 win against Tuggeranong in the first game of the season. They'll be back at McKellar Park. They'll be raring to go. As you said, they love that home ground. Everyone's familiar with McKellar and what a great stadium it is. So I'm going to pick the home crowd to get them over the top of Canberra Olympic there.
All right. And so you are going for a Belconnen win there. I'll write that down so I don't have to go through the videos next week. All right. So we've got next up, we've got Monaro Panthers versus West Canberra Wanderers, Saturday, 17th of April, 5:30 p.m. Riverside Stadium. Monaro are going to be raring to go for this one after that loss last week. I'm going to go for a Monaro win. However, West Canberra Wanderers, we all know against Monaro, they played quite well as well last year, I remember. Mm-hmm. But look, I think it's going to be a difficult matchup for the Wanderers, mainly based on the fact that Monaro are going to be just furious with the way they lost last week. That as this week has shown, anything can happen and everyone can show up on their day. But I'm going to go for Monaro. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm tending to agree with you there, Matt. I think Monaro are going to win this one, just based on the fact that you mentioned that they're going to be absolutely raring to go to rectify the result that they endured against Canberra Olympic. It's not the way that they wanted to start Frank Keisha's tenure as coach, and I think he's going to really rally those boys up to come back and to come back big. And we always sort of see and talk about how dangerous teams can be when they lose a game, and and there's a sense of especially when it's a convincing loss as well. Your heads are down and you're disappointed, and you're just itching at the bit to get back to prove, to get back in the winner's circle after what had happened that previous week of losing. And I think all those Monaro players are going to have that feeling heading into this game. So I see Monaro Panthers taking the W here.
And the next matchup is Gungahlin United versus Tigers FC. I'm not going to delve into this one too much, only because I mostly did on commentary and I mostly did at the start of this podcast. Like I said, it's the rematch. I think Tigers FC just have a little too much firepower when it comes to these bigger matches against Gungahlin United at the moment. And from what I saw in the FA Cup match a couple of weeks ago, I think Tigers sort of have their number in the way they approach the match, the way they pressed Gungahlin. They sort of sucked the life out of them and sort of left them just in their half, sort of passing the ball at the back between the back four and the back six. So look, I could easily be proved wrong, but I think Tigers will have this one and they'll be raring to go, especially considering they weren't even able to score a goal against Canberra, Croatia. So I'm going to go for Tigers. Michael?
I'm going to go for a draw in this one, but there could be a few goals in this one as well. I think to take the sample that we've already seen, before the season started when these two teams met in the FFA Cup, obviously Tigers getting the win, a convincing win there, 3-0. So I can't disagree as to the reasons why you would pick them heading into this one, but I just feel as though Gungahlin United, obviously that's not too far back in their memory. They'll be absolutely raring to go in terms of making sure that result doesn't reoccur. And I just think that it could become a case of them just cancelling each other out in a great game of football. I mean, both teams play great football there. So I think I'm going to go for a draw, which means, Tigers being winless for their first two games. But I definitely see it being closer than what it was a fair few weeks ago when the two teams met in the FFA Cup. So I'm going to go for a draw on this one, sitting on the fence.
Interesting. I'm glad we all don't have the same predictions this week. Michael, so next matchup, last one, Canberra, Croatia, Tuggeranong United. Look, I'm not going to talk about this one too much because I literally have zero idea how this one's going to play out. It's easy to say that Tuggeranong United are going to sit back and Canberra, Croatia are going to have the majority of possession. But we saw last year Tuggeranong approach that. We've seen every single club mostly play that sort of style, or a lot of them play that style against Canberra, Croatia recently. And usually Canberra, Croatia overpower them. However, Tuggeranong United were one of the sides last year that Canberra, Croatia didn't really overpower against Tuggeranong in that final round. Of course, it took the final sort of minutes for Tuggeranong United to concede a goal. And I know we'll talk about Dino time a lot last year with Canberra, Croatia scoring late, but Canberra, Croatia in most of those games had the majority of possession and had the majority of the chances. I'm going to go for Canberra, Croatia victory, but I'm sure Tuggeranong will put up a good fight. Michael?
Yeah, I agree, Matt. I'm taking a Canberra, Croatia win at home in their first home game of the season at Deakin Stadium. I think we can praise the effort of Mitch Stevens and Tuggeranong United for their effort last week against Tuggeranong United, but this is going to be a more difficult task at home of the champions. I expect Canberra, Croatia to win comfortably. But then again, you never know. Like you pointed out last season, Tuggeranong United gave them a very difficult match last season, and that's not me playing Mitch Stevens down and his team. I think Mitch is a great coach, and I like that Tuggeranong United team. But my feeling is that they'll get a comfortable victory at home.
And Michael, we head into the NPLW, and what is our first matchup?
Before we move on to NPLW, I just thought I'd mention something that Russ put up on his Facebook not too long ago. It was just congratulating Daniel Fulton of Tuggeranong United and Ross Costanzo of Tigers FC, who both played their 50th first grade matches over the weekend, which are great achievements and something that we definitely want to bring to light when talking about these competitions is to celebrate these milestones. So congratulations to those two.
Congratulations to those two indeed. Michael, what is our next matchup? And of course, we are starting our NPLW segment of the podcast.
Well, we start with Belconnen United at home to Wagga City Wanderers. And I mean, if this result didn't show that Belconnen United are coming back with a vengeance to get their title, I mean, they were ruthless in this match. 8 goals to 1. A fantastic performance. Obviously, the goals coming from Johnston, 2 for Backhouse, Bobbin with a double as well there. Tuskar with an own goal. Bomford and Jalocha scoring in the 83rd minute to top off the 8th goal, and a very dominant victory there, opposed to Wagga, who had Castle find the score sheet in the first half in the 30th minute through the penalty spot. Matt, like I just touched on, this Belconnen United team, you can tell that last season probably still sits with them a little bit in terms of how that played out, and them not winning the grand final, and they're ready to come back this season and put on an absolute clinic, and that's what they did.
Yeah, look, they certainly did, especially in that second half. I will say, before I get into Belconnen too much, but from all accounts and from what I saw from the people I talked to, they all said Wagga City Wanderers put up a very good fight in that first half. And Sam Gray, he said it every time I've talked to him. It's up on the Facebook page there. Every time he talks, he says, it doesn't matter who we verse. Regardless of the opposition, we're going to play to the best of our ability, and we're going to keep going forward. So naturally, the side, if they're going to concede a lot of goals, it's going to be against Belconnen.
Yeah,
because Belconnen is a side that will just, if you leave any open space, they're going to take it. It doesn't matter whether they're under Anthony, whether they're under Ahmed, or whether they're now under Michael Zukoski. That's how they're going to play. Bomford looked very good, as she looked good in the charity shield matchup, and a lot of players really, really impressed for Belconnen United. I saw Leah Carnegie's played really well for Belconnen United, and she didn't start too often last season, so it's good to see that she's taken opportunity. She's taken the opportunity that has been given to her from Michael Zukoski, and she seems to be starting quite a bit this season at right back. So a lot of the Belconnen players have played very well. Christina Esposito, absolute pillar in the goals. Like I said, I think she's probably one of the best pickups in the NPLW this season in terms of the keeper position. In terms of Belconnen United, though, very efficient. They're going to keep attacking. They're going to keep scoring goals. And Michael Zukoski, he's sort of similar to a lot of the coaches around. They don't want to concede. So he would, if there's one negative, he definitely wouldn't be happy with conceding a goal. That's for sure. But yeah, there's not much really I can say more about Belconnen United, because when they're open, and when a side that like Wagga City Wanderers, who are going to go all out attack, and they're always going to leave spaces, Belconnen United are going to take that advantage. But in saying that, though, I like what I saw from Wagga City Wanderers. I like what they did in the first half, and I think that's what we're going to see against Tuggeranong United. And I think Tuggeranong United are going to have a very hard matchup against Wagga City Wanderers, because not only do they match up well against them for reasons like Tuggeranong United not having a coach yet after Michael stepping down, but I think Wagga City Wanderers are going to be even more raring to go, because people are going to look at this result and go, oh, they smashed us the entire game. But they're going to look at it going, well, we played, we played very well and kept them at bay for a good solid 20, 30 minutes. So expect Wagga City Wanderers to come out roaring next week, and we'll see how they go against Tuggeranong. In terms of Belconnen United, they're going to play the CUA, who we're going to mention soon, had a very, very good result for them. So, and I'm also going to be, sorry, I just had a call which sort of disrupted the Zoom.
That's all right.
So we're going to sorry, like we always have an interruption every show. That's the great thing about
Oh, is it still gone?
no, it's done now. But yeah, I love how we
Okay.
always have an
No, that's
interruption
all right.
every show. Helps the
You're doing
banter.
well. Doing well.
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, and mentioned I'm gonna have a chat with Michael Zukoski probably tomorrow or something. We'll have that up on we'll have a Zoom chat. We'll have that up on the Facebook page probably by the end of the week. I'll try and do at least one a week with a coach or a player throughout the season, depending how everyone's availability goes. So anyway, that's it for me on this matchup, Michael. Let's get into the next one. We've got West Canberra Wanderers 1 against Canberra United 2. Of course, this is the battle of the two new female coaches, former players themselves. Of course, Nicole Begg for Canberra Olympic and Emma Stanbury for West Canberra Wanderers. So we had Vanderbroek, their new signing, scoring the 15th minute for Olympic, and then who else but Ashley Sykes scoring the death 94th minute or something like that. Great stuff from her, who of course returns to the squad after she wasn't going to come back this season. And Letton scoring for West Canberra Wanderers. Michael, what'd you make of this matchup?
Well, it's a good thing Skies came back to play this season because she's got Olympic 3 points right at the death, and it's the sort of football in terms of scenario that we want in some of these games. We want games being snatched at the last minute to get a team 3 points. So it's a massive win for Canberra Olympic, who we've praised, a lot over the last year or so. So it's good to see them get a win. But to go on West Canberra Wanderers, it was a fantastic effort by them in their first game of the season as well, almost getting a point to begin their campaign. Unfortunately, coming up short. But Olympic sneaking that goal in the dying seconds from Skies. Obviously to step up on that stage that she's done many a times for the club to capitalize on the opportunity to be the match winner. If Olympic can snag something against Gungahlin United next week, that would be a real statement of intent from Olympic to be 2 from 2 to start the season, especially to take a coup like Gungahlin United. But to go back to this match with player coach Emma Stanbury and new W League player Tiana Jabber in the defence, they controlled the middle of the defence and the park quite well. To concede a goal in the dying seconds and being denied a point it's such a tough pill to swallow. I'm sure you've been there, Matt, through the numerous teams that you've played for throughout your life, and I've been there as well. To concede a goal in the dying seconds is always disheartening, and it's heartbreaking. But it's all about how you bounce back, and I'm sure that West Canberra Wanderers will be looking to do that most definitely come round 2.
Yeah, I'm not going to say much more because I think you touched on it perfectly there. I think Olympic are going to look very good this season. I think they had actually, if the Sports TG is correct, I think it had Ashley at like left wing or left mid or something like that. It had on that lineup there, and then you had Vandenbroek up top with Hardwick. So they got some real good firepower. And about a month ago, it didn't look like they were going to have this firepower. So they've turned around very quickly, Olympic, and I'm impressed with how they've sort of gelled it all together. And they've got, but like we said, all those new players, a lot of those new players came from the same team. So they're bringing at least halfway chemistry to gel with the players that they currently got. But let's be honest, when you got someone like Ashley Sykes in the field, she can score. Like we're going to mention very soon with Brittany Palombi in Canberra, Croatia. These sort of players know how to score at the death, and they know how to, even when things aren't going your way, they know how to just, seize the moment per se. That's so it's going to be interesting to say the least. Michael, what is our next matchup?
So we've got Canberra, Croatia. We're at home to Canberra United Academy, and a very, very entertaining draw, 2-2 draw in this game. So Canberra, Croatia, with Palombi scoring both their goals in the 73rd and the 92nd minute of stoppage time to snatch a draw against Canberra United Academy, who had Hunt score both of the academy side's goals. I mean, wow. The defending champions obviously had a tough loss against Belconnen United before the season. They would have wanted to come out and make a real statement of intent. And instead of looking to start the season with 3 points, they just managed to get one in the dying stages of this game. As you can imagine, Canberra United Academy would have been absolutely distraught to know that they were so close to picking up a massive win so early in the season. That would have sent shockwaves through the WNPL competition. Matt, do you want to sort of delve into what transpired over the course of this football game?
Yeah, I'll start with Canberra Croatia first. It's worth noting that Grace Gill wasn't there, and but congratulations to her. I'm sure you saw on social media, she commentated the W League final. So I've worked with Grace just a couple of weeks ago in the FA Cup with Bell North, and she absolutely knows the game, fantastically well from all her years of playing, and she's one of the nicest people as well in football. So congratulations to her on commentating the W League final on ABC, I believe.
She's fantastic.
So I'm great. I'm sure that Canberra Croatia will be happy to have her back next week, though, when they get back into action. But in terms of not only that, I think when we'll talk about this, it just reminded me of what Jeremy said in the preview. He said Nick will be looking to prepare his side for more of a marathon than a sprint. And he was, I think we said, expect them to be raring to go right away. And he said, let's just hang back a second. I think we're going to see the best of Canberra Croatia later on in the season, which is interesting considering the majority of their squad is the same as last season. But Jeremy has a little more inside knowledge than us when it comes to Canberra Croatia and the women's game. So he knows what he's talking about. And he predicted this one as well, which I also said was interesting because he didn't really predict Canberra United to win last year whenever he did predictions on his articles. So we had a bit of banter with that. But yeah, he also commentated that one. Just let me read what he sent to me in terms of that. He just wanted to say, hopefully we'll get him on the show next week or the week after, but he said defensively, Canberra United had a hard time stopping Anna Hunt and Christopherson. He thinks he thinks they were just sort of blown away by the way Canberra United approached this game. Canberra United, let's talk about them a little bit. I mean, clearly they put up with the intensity and they prepared for it. I mentioned that last week and I said this is going to be the hardest test for them in terms of their physicality, and they stepped up. They really did. But they used their strengths as well in terms of if you go have a look at the first goal they scored, Anna Hunt, it was a Canberra Croatia corner in the CUA box, whips it in, immediately, boom, CUA off running. 30 seconds later, they're in the box, and Anna Hunt just dribbles it in. She had no defenders on her. Had about 4 or 5 Canberra Croatia defenders going to run for her, and Ali Hinson didn't really stand a chance because Anna Hunt was just so quick. And then boom, in the bottom corner. So I was very impressed with CUA. They weren't able to hold out in the end. Stalwart of Canberra Croatia, Brittany Palombi, similar to Ashley Sykes, like I said. They know how to score in the dying seconds of the game. They know how to seize that moment, Michael. And yeah, so at the end of the day, it's a very important draw for Canberra Croatia. And we all know about CUA. It's more about the way they play and less about the results because they want to bring up these women and get them ready for hopefully for all in the eventual W League. But yeah, I think this is a more important draw for Canberra Croatia considering the way the match went out than it was for CUA. But CUA proved that they can probably push for a top 4 spot if they continue. All right. Ready to move on to the next one, Michael?
Yep.
All right. So Canberra United 4, Tuggeranong United 0. Like I said, it's probably worth noting that Tuggeranong United still haven't appointed a head coach since Michael
Gungahlin
United
United
stepped down.
You mean Gungahlin United?
Sorry.
Tuggeranong. That's right.
Who did I say? Did I say Canberra United?
You said Canberra United versus Tuggeranong United.
Sorry, Gungahlin United against Tuggeranong. And it's worth stating that Tuggeranong still don't have a head coach because Michael, when Michael Aldred stepped down, and we recorded that before we heard the news. We actually heard it later that night, I think. So I just want to thank Michael for all the work he's done in women's football. I've only really had a chat to him a couple times this year. Didn't really talk to him much last year, but I've talked to a lot of people who have, and then you could see just the outpour of respect that he got when he posted that thing. Everyone said, I still hope to see you at the games. You're going to be sorely missed. And that's just not just Tuggeranong people. It's a lot of men's coaches, women's coaches. They've all said the same thing because he's just had such a positive impact on the Canberra footballing community, let alone Tuggeranong. I know he's put in a lot of work there. He mentioned the handbook. So they've got a good role to work on for the future. So credit to Michael, hopefully. And I had a chat to him and he's happy to come on the show one time. So we got to try and get him on in the next month or so, or whenever he's ready to come on, Michael. I think he's definitely quite a character, as I'm sure you know, because you've chatted to him as well. So
Yes.
Gungahlin United 4-0, like I said. Brown, 2 goals, Corbett and Percival. Michael, impressive win from Gungahlin United. Do you want to take us through this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was obviously an impressive victory to start the season for Gungahlin United at home. We said in the preview they kept the majority of their core players together, which was so important considering how well they had played last season, and to really take the performances and the results that they picked up last season to take over into this season whilst keeping the majority of their squad was very important, and it's showed in the first game of the season with a 4-0 win. It was, another year of chemistry under their belt last season. And that's why you can expect them to challenge at the top this season. Those players are becoming more familiar with each other. They play an attractive brand of football, and they're a great women's side to watch. I watched them a few times last season. The way that they were able to, maintain possession, alternate players in certain positions as well, made them a very good side to watch from a spectator's point of view. And there was a cracking goal in this game as well.
Hey, Tolu, yeah.
Wasn't there, mate?
Yeah. Hey, Tolu, it was absolutely terrific. And there was literally nothing the keeper could do about this one. I mean, it was an absolute stunner right in the top corner. There was no room for, it was so quick as well. I mean, Tolu, I think, did that in the first match of the season last season that Jeremy Knight called as well. So she's no stranger to it, and she can score from anywhere on the park. Sorry, go on.
You'd say that would have to be goal of the round between the three leagues.
I would say so, and still celebration to Tyson Livermore.
Yes, yeah. So we'll make sure to separate those. But yeah, it was a fantastic goal, and I mean, if no one has seen that, I mean, just get on Facebook and take a look at it. I mean, it's a spectacular strike. I mean, the technical ability to be so precise and get the right amount of curl and power on that shot to dip over into the top corner was absolutely exceptional. So credit to Tolu, because that was a fantastic goal, and hopefully we can hopefully that continues. We want to see more goals in the top bin. So
no, we certainly do.
Let's that continues. But credit to Tuggeranong. Just to switch over to Tuggeranong, like you said, mentioning obviously Michael stepping down, but just before the season started, and what great of an impact he's been on Canberra football, and I think that really echoed that sentiment when. Like you said, all these coaches in the women's and men's game had their 2 cents to say, thank you for what he did and what impact he's left on the game. It shows how much it's affected people. But I'm sure we'll have him on the show soon. And I just hope that Tuggeranong can continue to push through the difficult period that they're in now. Like we talked about how they were struggling for numbers before the season, and the post that they put out on their Facebook page to try and get numbers, and then to lose your coach as well. I can only feel for that Tuggeranong team, and I really hope that they just continue to push and get some results this season as a testament to their hard work. So I can only wish them the best going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And I just thought it was an impressive performance from Gungahlin United. They did, after the first goal, though, credit to Tuggeranong for keeping them at bay until the 63rd minute. They worked very hard defensively. And but Gungahlin United in the end, just too much firepower. And like we said, they're probably the best in terms of the chemistry, because between them and Canberra United, I think they've kept the majority of the core squad together, which is going to work, which will work wonders for them, especially with the more games they play. And yeah, there's not too much to say about from me. You mostly touched upon it. A very impressive win for Gungahlin United. Looking forward to see how they go against Olympic. So Michael, let's move on to the move on to the predictions.
Yep. Let's get into the round 2 predictions for NPLW. First off, Matt, we have West Canberra Wanderers against the defending champions Canberra Croatia, who will be looking to make amends for their share of the spoils against Canberra United in round 1. Before I get your prediction, that is Saturday, 17th of April at 12:45 p.m. at that lunchtime kickoff time at Melrose Synthetic. I'm going to go for a Canberra Croatia win. I think they'll be eager to bounce back. And we thought that they were going to bounce back against Canberra United in round 1, following the loss to Belconnen United just before the 2021 season started. But I can't see them going 2 games into the season without a win. And I can see them leaving Melrose with all 3 points, especially considering Palombi and her double last week. She'll be raring to go to add to that goal tally.
Yeah.
What's your take on this one?
I agree. Canberra Croatia victory for me, mostly because I think they'll be raring to go. But an issue they probably had last week, even though they were trailing for a big part of that game, I think the finishing was an issue from what I saw and from all reports. They had quite a few chances that they didn't get either, as well as CUA did. So, and don't forget, I'm assuming Grace Gill will be back as well. And with her and Brittany Palombi, expect goals. They definitely know how to score. And we saw in the Charity Shield, when Grace Gill plays, the rest of the team just rises up. But it was good to see as well when Grace Gill wasn't there. Palombi was the one that rose everybody up, and they came back to get a draw. In terms of West Canberra Wanderers, it's going to be tough because Canberra Croatia is such a quality outfit, but Emma Stanbury as well as Tiana Jaber as well that they brought in, they're going to be working with the squad, and if they don't get the result they want this time round, I'm sure by at least the middle of the season, the chemistry they're going to bring and the experience those two specifically are going to bring this squad. They're going to prove some people wrong. They showed some positives in that match against Olympic, but I think Canberra Croatia will be too strong. What's our next one, Michael?
All right, next match, we've got Belconnen United at home to Canberra United Academy. So, I mean, 2 of the top dogs for Canberra United Academy in their first 2 games of the season. That one is also Saturday, 17th of April, 3 p.m. Is the kickoff time for this one at McKellar Park. I mean, like I said, 2 very tough outings for Canberra United to start this NPLW campaign, but they got the draw. They were denied victory against Canberra Croatia, the defending champions. And there's, no means as to why they can't go into the Belconnen United game with a similar confidence and want to even take all 3 points and really stun the home crowd. I think this one's actually going to be a tight game. Obviously, I don't think Belconnen United going to defeat them as convincingly as they did in their first game by scoring 8 goals against Wagga City. But I expect a Belconnen United win at home. What about yourself?
I didn't know where you were going with there. I thought you were going with it. I thought you were going to say a draw. Okay, so Belco v CUA. I think Belconnen are just going to have a little too much for them, and they are better defensively than CUA are. I think they bring a different sort of intensity than Canberra Croatia do. I think their intensity is more just the way they press, the way Belco press everybody. But in saying that, though, CUA, they proved against Canberra Croatia that they can cause an upset against the big girls. So don't count them out, but I'm going to go for a Belco victory. Michael, which one's next up?
We've got Canberra Olympic at home to Gungahlin United in what will be a very close encounter. Most definitely, this one's Sunday, 18th of April, 2:15 at O'Connor Enclosed. This is going to be a tight one, Matt. Two very good sides. We've talked about them glowingly to start round one. Obviously, Canberra Olympic getting the last minute winner against West Canberra, and Gungahlin United obviously getting the win as well, a convincing win at that. I think this one could be a draw. The Gungalin's going to, yeah, I'm going to go with a draw.
All right.
I mean, Gungahlin could take it, but I'm going to lean more towards a share of the spoils. I think both teams have been great to start the season. Both have quality in their team. It'll definitely be a tight encounter. That's for certain. I don't think one team's going to blow the other team out the water. I could be completely wrong, but that's just how I see it going, based on what we've seen so far. So I'm going to go for a draw in this game.
Yeah, I was contemplating the draw as well, but I ended up deciding on a Gungahlin United victory for me. This one, it's going to be very, very hard to see how. So very, very hard to pick. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how this one goes. This one could go swing anyway, like you said. It could be a draw. Olympic could win it. I can see this match going anyway. I'm just going to go with Gungahlin because I think the momentum they have from that Tuggeranong game is very good, and their chemistry is probably at full blast. While Canberra Olympics is still getting there, but hey, at the end of the day, with Ashley Sykes on the field, I could easily be proved wrong in that one. But I'm going to take a gamble and say Gungahlin United. But Olympic under Nicole Becker, definitely a team to watch for this season. Definitely a team to push for the top four. All right, Michael, next one.
All right, last game of NPLW round 2 is Tuggeranong United at home to Wagga City Wanderers, Sunday, 18th of April, 2:30 at Canberra, 2:01. I'm going to go for a Tuggeranong United win.
Ooh.
Hot take.
Okay, hot take from Michael. Let me write that down before I forget. Tuggy's victory for Michael. All right, I'm going to go for a Wagga win. I think this is the one Jeremy and I will be commentating unless plans have changed. So that would be at Canberra, 2:01. Russ suggested to go over Kransky. Anyone that's there, he really rates the Tuggy's Kransky.
You can't go wrong with the Kransky. Yeah, you really can't.
There's also Kranskys at the Monaro game as well, believe it or not.
There you go.
So yeah, look, I'm going to go for a Wagga victory. I think just the fact that Tuggeranong still don't have a coach is going to hurt them as well. But Wagga, the way they play, I think they match up really well against the Tuggeranong side that doesn't have the same attacking capabilities as Wagga do. At this point in time, there's no reason why they can't change in the future. But Tuggies have had a lot of departures, unfortunately for them. So I'm going to go for a Wagga victory, but I'm sure Tuggies will put up a good fight. All right, Michael. Next up, Wagga City Wanderers 0 to O'Connor Knights 2, McCarran and James Ward, which is one of their new signings at O'Connor as well. So good on him. 2-0 O'Connor. Michael, this is a very good win for O'Connor, righting the wrongs of last season, to say the least, and getting off to a good start. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head there, Matt. They obviously endured a not so very good season last year. I mean, obviously they were derailed by the knowledge of there no longer being promotion to the NPL1 competition given the COVID. Obviously, we don't need to get into too much about their performances last season and then essentially taking it off as what they've said anyway. But this is exactly the start that they want. They've got a full season this time around. They're really eager to get into NPL1, as some of the other sides are as well. Don't get me wrong about that. But it's a great win for O'Connor, especially to start the season, playing your first game away in Wagga. That's one that you want to tick off early in the season, and obviously get a win as well, so they don't have to worry about traveling to a game out like that halfway through the season or towards the tail end, especially when the ladder's close and you can't afford any dropped points. So they'll be very pleased with getting 3 points to start the season. Obviously, Wagga were hot off the heels of a terrific win over Brindabella, that was absolutely mayhem. that game. But a terrific win, nevertheless. Unfortunately, they weren't able to replicate a similar performance against O'Connor. They've been riddled with departures and injuries, so expect Wagga to take some time to recuperate and build a squad together that's going to compete for the remainder of the season. Matt, do you have any thoughts on this? Obviously, it's what O'Connor Knights wanted. They have to keep this going all season if they want to achieve that NPL1 promotion, because they were the ones barking the loudest about it last season. And obviously this season, promotion is on the line like it wasn't last season. There's a lot at stake. It's exactly the way they would have wanted to start the year.
Yeah, the Tuggeranong will be very, very happy with this result for O'Connor Knights. They will see it as a routine victory for them because they we keep mentioning last season, but it's hard not to compare it to it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they said last season to them felt like a preseason. So for this victory, they'll seem like it's a routine one for them because they consider this the start of their competitive season that they haven't had since 2019. But in general, I think it's more important for their momentum because next week they're going to be facing Yoogali, last year's minor premiers and last year's runners-up in the final. And I think we're going to see. Actually, no, I'll mention that a little bit later. But in terms of Wagga City Wanderers, you mentioned it there. It's just going to be, even though they did very, very well in Brindabella, it's going to be very, very hard for them. At least the first half of the season with all these departures and all these injuries. I realized I've got a few injuries recently. So, yeah, unfortunately for David Leonard over there, it's going to be a much harder job than he probably anticipated when he first took over. Yeah. So for him, I think it's more just about let's just calm it down. Let's keep it settled. Let's just rethink week to week and let's try and work and try and see where they can improve. I'm not sure if their keeper's still out as well. Fries, I believe, is still out, and Dedini coming out of retirement, I believe, to keep going goals there for them. So he's done a good job. But yeah, in terms of them, a lot of the injuries, a lot of departures. So for Dave Leonard, it's just about rethinking things, calm it down. Let's keep it settled. All right, let's move on to the next matchup. Michael, what is it?
Yep. So we had Canberra White Eagles at home to ANU FC, two stalwarts in the NPL2 competition. It ended all square, a 1-1 draw. Reese finding the back of the net for White Eagles, and Deans scoring from the penalty spot for the visitors. This was the epitome of a close game, wasn't it, Matt? I mean, it was. They're very evenly matched on paper. Two very good sides, two sides looking to gain promotion, and I mean, you saw that right here in round one, didn't we?
Yeah, no, I did. I did, and you said it was the epitome of a type game. I think this is one where they sort of cancel each other out. ANU started as you would expect on the front foot, controlling most of the possession. White Eagles decided just to sit back a little bit, soak it up. But when they counter, geez, they counter with some pace. And look, at the end of the day, we always said this was going to be a close one. I think I predicted a draw in this one as well. It was just the epitome of both sides just cancel each other out, because by the second half, they both sort of traded possession. They tried to break each other down. No one really could. They both tried to go for goal, and no one really could. It was really the epitome of a very, very close game. It was very entertaining, though, especially in the first half. But yeah, I think both sides just cancel each other out in the end. Adam Cotto-Pedero, I'm sure, will be happy with his first match in charge of a first-grade side, with his team getting a draw, because I believe they lost this fixture last season to start the season. And White Eagles, they'll be happy to get a point on the board, considering they haven't had the best of pre-seasons under Steve Forshaw. But for them, they probably thought this was a realistic result, a draw. So there's always a chance when these two teams face that it's going to be a draw. So for them, it's more about moving forward, and one big team's out of the way, and they're going to be moving on to the next ones. So, Michael, any last thoughts before we move on to the next match?
Not too many. I think, not to reiterate all the points that you made, but I think this will be a result that both teams will look back on later in the season as a good result, especially vying for that top four finals football stage of the season. I think it's a game that, or a result, sorry, that both teams can be satisfied with when they weigh up where they are, 15, 20 games in. So it's a share of the spoils. I think either team's not going to be displeased with the outcome of it. They both get a point. But like I said, it will, I think, do both sides more good than bad come to the later stage of the season. Moving on, we had Brindabella at home to Queanbeyan City. And a very, very entertaining game, this one. Queanbeyan City coming away with a 3-2 win. The visitors' scorers in this one was Yosovsky, Petrovsky, and Fuji. Oh, I've probably got that one wrong.
I'll find out.
Yeah, we look.
We apologize.
I needed to be advised of this before because my pronunciations of certain last names aren't the best, so I apologize. Don't come at me. And Schaefer scoring 2. How's that?
Yeah, well, yeah, Schaefer.
Pronunciation wise, I mean,
he did very well as well in the FFA Cup match for Brindabella. Look, Michael, this one was a very tough game for Queanbeyan City. Brindabella really came at them. They weren't really. I'm not sure if they were expecting that or not, because I'm not sure about what Queanbeyan's certain. I'm not sure what their certain expectations were from this game, but we all know at the very least the expectations for Gabby and Jay Wilkers to score a lot of goals. They did. They're not. It doesn't matter how much they concede as long as they score and they, But I don't think they were expecting, at the very least, this is just my assumption, that Brindabella were going to come at them with that sort of intensity and that sort of pace, and they certainly did. Don't write off Brindabella this season under Zoran Glavinic, very experienced coach. He was able to add some more depth to that squad. He's really going to be focusing on their speed and their agility and against the bigger sides, expect them to sit back a little bit and really counter on even though they're not specifically a defensive minded side, but against the bigger sides, expect them to sit back a little bit and use that to utilize their pace and get on the end and get Schaefer to score a couple more goals for them, because they just have this sort of intensity about them, Brindabella, that I think is going to rock a few. They're going to make a few upsets this season, and they weren't able to do it this time around, but don't count out Brindabella. I think this season they're going to cause a few upsets. And in terms of Queanbeyan City, it's going to be interesting to see how they go against Western Molonglo next week. It's probably going to be a similar match for them. Western Molonglo, I'll mention it a little in the next match, but they've had a few injuries and a few people out, so they're going to be probably setting up a similar way to Queanbeyan, similar way to Brindabella do. They don't have the sort of pace that Brindabella do.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of physicality, they're probably a little more physical than Brindabella are. So they'll probably match up well in that regard when they defend a Queanbeyan City onslaught. They had quite a few chances, Queanbeyan City. I believe Mark Shields missed the penalty from what I heard.
No.
But yeah, Queanbeyan City, they'll just be happy to get 3 points on the board. And at the end of the day, they're going to look back on this one and go, geez, that was a hard match, but hey, we got the victory, which is what matters for a side like Queanbeyan City that are going to be looking for promotion this season. All right. Any last words before we move on?
I think just to go off what you said about Zoran Glavinic and this Brindabella Blues team, I mean, they definitely will, I think, cause a few upsets this season, and especially if they play the way that they did in against Queanbeyan City. If they take that similar approach to playing against sides like White Eagles, ANU, Yoogali, just to name a few there. I mean, they're definitely gonna have some success. Those efforts are definitely going to reap some sort of rewards throughout the season. So I think it's a very positive step that they've taken in the first game of the season against a team that's vying for a NPL1 promotion berth. And I suppose to go on the other side of the coin with Queanbeyan City, you mentioned it there, that Gabby Wilkes teams, you know, they love to score goals. They've always been that he has always managed teams that have always produced goals. I mean, he's not always known for having the most astute defense. I mean, he's pretty notoriously known for just outscoring his opponents with the attacking firepower that he's always had at his disposal throughout his tenure in, you know, NPL 1 when he was, you know, coaching at Cooma, formerly known now as Tigers FC for a very long time, and he's continuing that culture now in Queanbeyan with City. So I think you can obviously expect Queanbeyan to be a side that are always going to score a bucket load of goals, because that's just the way that Gabby Wilk has always set out his teams. It's to attack and to score goals. And even though that leaves them maybe vulnerable at one end of the field, they execute on the attacking end. So you can always be sure that whenever you watch Queanbeyan City, there's probably going to be a lot of goals involved, like there was in this one.
Yeah, at 100%. And moving on, we've got Yoogali 2-1 over Western Molonglo. A bit of a hard-fought victory for the first place side in the competition last year, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Bajanti with 2 goals, and then Western Molonglo. We don't have the score here. I thought I wrote it down. My bad. Actually, I'll find it when you're yeah, I had it all over it. I'm just like, hang on a sec. I remember who that goal scorer was. No, I don't. Anyway, Michael, you want to delve into this match while I find us the goal scorer?
Yeah, no, I guess I was just gonna say, it looked like one of those moments where like where the recording sort of froze.
Because I'm like, I'm usually pretty prepared, as you know. So the fact that I forgot to put this one in is
no, that's all right. It happens.
Ned Jeans won't be happy with me, that's for sure.
No, that's all right. Hopefully you can you know, make amends for that going forward. No, it's fine. A very hard fought victory for Yoogali to start the season. They controlled the majority of possession and the chances on quick build-up play. One thing to keep in mind with them is their preseason was a little disordered than most, with the lack of friendlies being played due to their location. Overall, a very important victory, essentially in the lead up to a blockbuster against O'Connor Knights on Saturday. Expect Yoogali to dominate possession and O'Connor to break quickly on the counter, which we can get into a little bit more when we're previewing the round 2 games. But Western Molonglo, they fought hard, which you can always expect. They were missing, you know, 6 to 7 players from the squad, including Ashley Blount. If anyone has seen him play, he is a key player for them and anchors that midfield as well as anyone in the NPL too. So Western smartly kept it tight at the beginning of the match, but continued to press when Yoogali lost a bit of energy. They won't be happy that they're coming home with no points, considering they held Yoogali for quite a while. However, considering the circumstances of, you know, like I mentioned, with the 6 to 7 players out with injury, I mean, they put in a very resilient performance, and they can take a lot of positives out of that game. And it certainly doesn't get any easier for them next week as they face Queanbeyan City. But Matt, before you get into your take, I thought that I would be nice enough to mention the fact that your brother made his debut for Western on the weekend. I know that he didn't want you to say it, so I just took it upon myself to say it, so he can't get mad at you now for being mentioned on the podcast. So did you have a chat to him at all about the game and how he played or anything like that?
Yeah, look, he was ecstatic to make his first grade debut. He didn't think he was, only because he's been injured with his foot for a while, and he didn't play any of those FA Cup matches. But congratulations to him. And there's quite a few players expect quite a few of the under-23s players from Western Molonglo to make their debut this season, especially if they've got some injuries. Because that Western Molonglo side, I think they beat the Yoogali in the 23s 2-0, and they're very well. I even saw a bit of them before their match against their FA Cup match, and they're a very good side, and they're one of the better sides in the NPL under-23s in the NPL 2. I think last year they made the semi-finals, if I'm not mistaken, of the under-23s. So expect quite a few players like Dan and the likes to come through at the Western Molonglo side. And I did get, you threw me a little off guard there, Michael. I forgot to mention the scorer, Albushi. There we go. Albushi is a scorer for Western Molonglo.
Shout out to Albushi
for scoring that goal for Western Molonglo. Look, from all accounts I saw, I was told, and what I saw on their Facebook page, you got Western Molonglo kept it tight, and they were one of the better defensive sides last year before they got some injuries. So I think that's why that'll be key for them against Queanbeyan City, as we mentioned. But Yoogali, they had less preseason games than most. We mentioned it on the podcast in the preview. The issue with them where they a lot of the ones they had due to their location, it screwed them around a little bit in terms of their preseason fixtures weren't allowed to get a lot, and they weren't able to play their round 4 FFA Cup match against the UC Stars because UC Stars pulled out. So that's one less one less competitive matchup that they've played compared to everyone else. So I think maybe their intensity and their fitness might not be up to the same standard as everyone else, but clearly they're as long as you got the quality, like we all know they do, as we saw in the final last year, they're going to be a tough team to beat. So, Michael, are you ready for the predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we start with O'Connor and Yoogali. For me, this one is going to be very, very interesting. O'Connor have proved that they've improved defensively, and I think that's going to be key. And let's see how the intensity and the fitness of of Yoogali go. I'm sure either they'll be up for the challenge, especially with a competitive match under their belt, considering they've played less matches than most people in pre-season. Luke Santolin will have them ready, I'm sure. This one's going to be an absolute cracker over at Kaylin Enclosed, Saturday, 17th of April, 3 p.m. I think I'm going to sit on the fence for this one, Michael. I'm going with the draw. And it might be a high-scoring one as well, maybe a 2-2. But a draw regardless.
That's a good prediction, a very particular prediction. But I'm going to go for an O'Connor Knights win at home to really carry on the momentum that they showed in round 1. I expect them to get the victory. Obviously, against a tough outfit like Yoogali, it'll be a very tough game, and it might end up in a high-scoring draw, like you mentioned. But
or a nil-nil.
I think
it's one of those games. They're that competitive.
Yeah. So just on that basis, I've still got full confidence in O'Connor taking that one at home.
All right, and next up we have ANU against Wagga City Wanderers, Saturday, 17th of April, 3:15 p.m. at ANU South Oval. I think, for all the reasons we mentioned about Wagga City Wanderers, it's still going to take some time for them to gel, considering all the issues they've encountered, which isn't any fault of their own, unfortunately for them. But they will put up a good fight. But I think in the end, ANU will have a little bit too much firepower for them. So I'm going to go for an ANU victory. You, Michael?
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm going to go for an ANU victory at home. Like you said, I think it's going to take a bit of time for Wanderers to pick up their feet. ANU coming off that draw against White Eagles away from home is a decent result for them to take into round 2 and get their season up and running at home. So I'm expecting ANU to pick up the 3 points there.
I'm going to go for a little bit of an upset result in the next one, which is Brindabella Blues against Canberra White Eagles. I'm going to go for a draw here. Saturday, 17th of April, 4:45 at Ipen Park. They are now calling it down there at Corwell. So it's great to see that all the games are at different times. So you can, if you want to go watch even if you're only watching one half of this, one half of that, you can get out to quite a few. And the next match is at a different time also.
Yeah, look at that. They've got 3 games. You could essentially watch 3 games in a row.
Yep. Which is great. Last year that wasn't the situation for last year. And,
that's right.
In NPL2, that wasn't the issue. Yeah. And now you've got Queanbeyan City mostly playing the games at 5:30. Western Molonglo's games vary between 6:30 and 2 and 4 because I don't think they get first priority at Woden Park enclosed. And then Brindabella always seem to play 4:45, and then O'Connor and White Eagles and ANU usually play the games around 3. So that's great to see there. So what do you what's your prediction, Michael?
Well, I actually thought a draw as well, Matt, just based on the fact that Brindabella played really well against Queanbeyan City, only losing 3-2 as well. I think this isn't the time for White Eagles to get their season up and running. I think it's a very tough game to play against Brindabella, especially given a couple of games that they've had. Even though they've been on the wrong end of the result, they've put up some excellent performances to come away with nothing. But I think that this will be the game where they come away with something to go off their good performance against Queanbeyan. So I'm going for a draw as well.
Okay, and last up, we have Western Molonglo against Queanbeyan City, Saturday, 17th of April, 6:25 p.m., Woden Park enclosed. Expect this to be a very, very physical encounter. I'm going to go for a Queanbeyan City victory, but I think Queanbeyan City are going to have, they're going to be in for a really physical battle because Western Molonglo are more adept to playing to playing the underdog side against sides like Queanbeyan City, and they know against these sides they need to sit deep and break when they can, but they have more. So Brindabella are more of they're more of the pacey side with more energy in that regard, and then Western Molonglo's energy in these sort of matches, they're more physical. They use that physicality, like the likes of Ashley Bland, who's an absolute physical beast, and he really controls the center of the park. I'm not sure if he's going to be there, so we'll find out about that. We'll see if he's going to be there because he will be key. If he will be key to Western Molonglo if they're going to get a result in this matchup, but I think considering the injuries they have at the moment, the amount of players out, I think it's like 6 to 7, I was told, that are out at the moment. So if most of them are still out, it's going to be difficult for them to get it. But I'm going to go for Queanbeyan City. Michael, you?
Yeah, I'm going Queanbeyan City as well. So we've picked all 4 of the same.
No, we haven't.
No?
Wait, no, we haven't. Night, so I went for a draw.
Yeah, you went for a draw. That's right. Sorry. I thought we picked the same for the entire round 2 matches. And I thought, oh no, we can't have the same predictions. But look, at least we've got that one that's different. But look, I firmly believe that Queanbeyan are going to get the win there against Western Molonglo. It'll be a tough game, like you mentioned. More of a physical battle against a pacier side. Which will make for a good game, a tight game. So you never know. Maybe Queanbeyan City will rely on their knack of scoring goals and finding the back of the net, however way they choose. So it'll be tough for Western to really stay compact and cancel them out and possibly hit them on the counter attack to catch them out. It'll be a close game, but yeah, I'm edging towards Queanbeyan City getting 3 points there.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to that one, and that should be a very good turnout for that one as well. Queanbeyan always have their travelling fans, as you would know, Michael, being a Macedonian yourself. It's going to be an interesting one to say the least. Now, I think that's it for us this week. I'm glad we touched upon everyone in good length as well, because that's what the times are for. Everyone can just tune in when they want. So I just want to say thank you very much to everyone who tuned into all the previews the last 3 weeks, because they've gotten fantastic responses. So the views have been insane. Like accumulative, the NPL one got more than 1,000 views. Just on the Facebook video alone, we got 1.4K views for the NPL2 one. The NPL2 love it. And the NPL one did very well as well with 500 views. So I just want to say thank you very much to all the people that are listening, sharing, tagging people in the comments, shouting us a few, messages as well along the way for banter. That's because, that's what we're all about here. We're all just about having fun, enjoying it, and just, promoting the local game and enjoying the positive side of the local game. You won't really see us talk about any of the dirt sheets and the negative aspects of the game. We're all about promoting the positiveness of the game and the good banter that comes along with it, as I say, Michael. So, Michael, anything left to wrap up? Anything more you want to say before we close off for a week?
I suppose just to finish off, I think the reception that we've got with the preview videos that we've done has been exceptional. I don't think I could have predicted us, getting that much attention through the viewership numbers that we got. So all I can say is thank you to those that tuned in, that gave us, their time in terms of, having a look at the previews that we've done. I think all we want to do is promote the game here in Canberra, and I think we've done a good job of that. Obviously, we just want to keep people informed of what's going on around the nation's capital in terms of Canberra football and the local game, and what's going on, and the results that are going on as well, and giving as much attention as we can to all these leagues. So I think it's a very good sort of step to go off. And I just want to say again, thank you to everyone that's tuned in, that's been able to enjoy our previews, and hopefully that can set to continue throughout the long season, because we've got plenty more episodes to come. So it won't be a shortened season again, like we experienced last year, where we had a long break and then we tried to get back into the shortened season. And now that we've had a bit more time to prepare and dissect every team as best as we possibly can, it's given us a great opportunity to cover as much we'll cover teams in depth as much as we can, so that we can provide a consistent and balanced perspective. And we just want that to obviously continue. We want people to keep tuning in, so people keep commenting, keep sharing our videos. We greatly appreciate it. We always talk about it all the time, Matt, of how appreciative we are of the people that are tuning in to what we're doing. So we only want that to continue. But I mean, if anyone has any ideas or any areas that would like us to discuss, I mean, don't hesitate to get in touch via our Facebook or Instagram pages. Our social media outlets are always open. So, I mean, it's been great in terms of the support that we have received from numerous people, and we just want that to continue for the rest of the year.
Even if you see one of us in person, don't be afraid to come up and say hi. I think I've gotten more feedback just from being at some of the games or just randomly at places. And I think I've gotten more feedback like that than I have actually on social media. So it's good to see that, that we're approachable people, especially myself.
I hope so.
It's good to see that we're approachable people and people that just love to chat football with us. So it's great to see. And
I'm always down for a chat.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself than what you said there, Michael. So very well done. And next week, I think we might have Russ and maybe Jeremy on the show as well. So we'll see how we go. And then going forward, hopefully we can get the likes of Michael Aldred on and a few others. And then we'll have some interviews that'll go up as separate content for later in the week with players and coaches in a separate platform to keep the content going and give every club that we cover in the NPL 1, 2, and W its own platform and its own voice throughout the season. So thank you very much, everybody. And from Michael and I, see you in round 2.